Hello, everybody. Oh, whoops, that's really far away. Just realized that. So, hello, everyone. Today we are going to review the movie Ad Astra. And it looks like my hair's straight when I have the headset on, but it's really not. Anyhow, that lighting's a little off, isn't it? My face looks really dark. Sorry about that, but I guess we're just going to have to live with that for this review. I thought that would still be okay, but apparently it's not. So, funny story about this movie. I actually did go to see it in the theaters, but I missed a little bit because I was just extremely tired the day I went to see it, and it is a slower film for sure. So I was kind of in and out of consciousness, if that's what you want to call it, in the theater, which doesn't happen to me very often, but I guess when you have a lack of sleep, it doesn't really matter what movie it is. You're probably going to fall asleep if you're tired. So now, when I feel myself, dozing off, if I can, before I actually completely fall asleep, I just pause the movie where I am, and sometimes I have to go back to the beginning, and other times I just kind of go back a scene or two and just refresh my memory as to where I am, so that I can do a proper analysis, like review of the movie. Not analysis, what am I talking about? Because otherwise, I think I've come a far way from where I started with this channel, so, but yeah, now I'm kind of rambling about something else. Doesn't really matter, so. Anyhow, the funny story is, when the movie got to the end credits, because I had kind of, I missed a very big part of this movie the first time around, which I think made it even better the second time watching it. But anyhow, this guy in front of me goes, "Well, that was stupid." He goes, "I thought it was going to be a huge action movie." And all I could think was, judging just from the trailers, if I remember them correctly, it looked suspenseful, but there was no real, like, I don't know, even in the trailers, I don't think they showed too much action as far as that goes. I think they did a very good job of, you know, keeping the viewer guessing as to what the movie was actually going to be about, which they did a really good job of, because you actually had no idea what was going to happen in this movie. Now, I'm not saying this lacked action. There were a few action scenes, but they were very short and sweet, because that wasn't the main focus of the movie. It wasn't supposed to be some guy traveling across space killing people for no reason. That just wouldn't have even made sense as a plot point to this movie. So the whole plot of this movie is for Brad Pitt's character, Roy McBride, to travel across space to Neptune to find his father, Clifford McBride. Yeah, so that's what and to get into that, I was just kind of thinking, like, how did you not look up the trailers, right? To the guy in the beginning that I was talking about. Like, how did you not look up the trailers and realize that this wasn't going to be an action flick? That's what I found funny about it. But anyway, so yeah, he's traveling across space to find his father due to this Lima project that they sent his father on 29 years ago. Now, most people believed that the crew was dead, at least the general public. That's what they were told to believe. Now, from what I gather, Brad Pitt's character has a pretty, I guess, I don't want to say dark past, but troubled past. His father left when he was, I think he says 10 in the film. So yeah, he was really young when his father left him. And it's been 29 years. So now he would be what? I don't know why I can't do the math. It's late at night. Forgive me. I guess he'd be 39, 40, depending on when his birthday was. Somewhere around there. Yeah, so they show him all this. Now I'm not sure where they show him this, whether it's at the space station, the Pentagon. Like, he seems to be some sort of general, I think is what they called him. So he is a military man, or maybe that's just like a ranking in the actual space stations as well. I'm not really sure how that all works with NASA and so on and so forth, or whatever company he was working for to get him into space. Now, this is supposed to be in the distant future. And some of these concepts were actually really cool. So there is, now obviously I don't know how far into the future this is supposed to be, because I don't think they ever mentioned the actual year. So he's actually working on this giant space, what was it, space station antenna basically, or satellite type deal. It goes up super, super high, and then all of a sudden this surge happens and it starts to blow up. Even after him cutting the power, it's already too late. You can just see him start to go into this free fall, and then he lands. He ends up at the hospital with, I don't know how he did, how he made it out with like very minimal scrapes and bruises. But anyhow, so they show him all this information about his father, which I think some of it he didn't know. So his mission is to obviously go find his father and shut down this Lima project and bring his father back to Earth. Because these people that are telling him about what is going on believe that his father could still be out there alive, and that he is trying to hide from them. And they believe he would be somewhere near Neptune. So that would be quite the space journey. For those of you who don't know, I don't know how many light years away it would be, but it would take some serious technology to get that far. So his first stop is to the moon, our moon, and they've basically turned the moon into this giant. There's people living on the moon now. It seems like it's regularly populated by people. So we've actually moved people to the moon, which I thought was kind of a cool concept. And then he has to travel to the dark side of the moon in order to get to the space station that they're trying to travel to, in order to get on their long-range rockets to Mars. So we have enough power to travel to the moon in this movie, but we don't have enough rocket power on Earth to travel to Mars, which is kind of a funny concept, hey, because if we could travel to the moon, you'd think they would be able to just, because I don't know how far the moon is away, but it's an interesting concept, and maybe that's just like a money saver too, because I guess because I guess the moon wouldn't be funding Earth and the Earth wouldn't be funding moon, so it kind of makes sense a little bit, I guess, as to money-wise, I suppose, like one planet. I guess moon isn't really a planet, so one place funds the long-range rockets and one place funds the short-range rockets, which is kind of a cool concept. So once he's to the moon, he's actually with this character named Thomas Pruitt, who I guess used to work with his dad. So he actually ends up giving him this information about his father. And I can't remember exactly what the clip was, but I believe it was something about his father saying that he hadn't missed home. Or, yeah, he seemed very dedicated to his mission in the clip anyway, from what I remember. But then when he actually gets to Mars, he's shown another clip by another woman, and it seems that his dad has actually gone completely nuts from being out in space so long that he's killed the rest of the crew on the ship, and I believe that's when he says that he hadn't even thought about coming home. That was closer to the end of the movie. Jeez, I'm getting all the clips mixed up of what he was talking about. So yeah, now he knows that his father's gone insane, and the main point of his mission was originally to get a transmission back from his father, and then they were going to send out this other crew to retrieve his father. Well, he ends up being able to sneak onto the spaceship that is going to retrieve his father from Neptune, and now the mission has become to shut down. Well, I guess the main part of the mission was to shut down Project Lima, but they think that Roy has become way too attached to the mission due to the fact that it's his father, so they're trying to kick him off of the mission, and I guess send him back to Earth. But he seems to be trapped on Mars at the moment, So he decides that he's going to go to his father and bring him back. And in the process of getting onto the spaceship, the rest of the crew dies because they are told to kill Roy, and that doesn't go well for them, and they all end up dying in the process of trying to kill him. So he sends a message back to the space station on Mars saying that that is what has happened, and he's you can tell he's starting to lose it even on Mars because they won't give him the information he wants, and he knows that his father has sent back a transmission after he gives him an actual heartfelt message. So then and it actually tells you the travel time during like their trip to Mars. I think it was like 19 days, and it's so many hours, so many minutes, and so many seconds. And then when he's actually traveling to Neptune, it tells you like 76 days, the hours, the minutes, the seconds. So yeah, he was in space for, God, quite some time because everything's so slow out there, and I don't even know when he would have actually returned to Earth, like how many years would have went by here by the time he got back. But it's crazy to think about because he was actually out in space for more than a little over 3 months, I guess, by the time he actually makes it back. So once he gets all the way out to Neptune, he sees his father's ship. He sends a little pod over, but it gets damaged on the way there because another surge happens. And these surges are constantly getting stronger and stronger, so they are literally threatening the entire power grid of Earth at this point, so that's why it needs to be shut down. So he gets onto the ship and sees all the dead crew members, and I think one of the things that his father liked was classical music, so you can hear that playing on the kind of a very creepy, like almost horror vibe at the end of the movie. And I'd kind of forgotten what happened once he got onto the ship, but he is able to get his father off of the ship and start the bomb timer and inevitably just blow up the ship. So when he's trying to bring his father off, I'm not sure exactly what his dad did once they got outside of the ship, but he's basically telling Roy to let him go and just commits suicide. So at this point, Roy's mental state is not 100% at all. He's completely broken down. He just lost his father in front of his eyes and watched him float into space to die. So I believe he takes all of his father's research out of the ship and then goes through this minefield or asteroid field. I guess the belt around Neptune was what he was going through to get back to his own ship, I think. So he uses like this metal piece off of the ship, I guess, which would have protected him because it was meant to protect the ship to go through that, I suppose, as well. And that was kind of a clip from the beginning of the movie, was him shaking violently and going through it, but you didn't know what he was doing. But now we know. So he is able to get back onto his own ship, and I think he does make it back. See, it's kind of confusing. Pretty sure he makes it back to Earth. Because it shows his girlfriend Eve at the very end, who was played by Liv Tyler, and girlfriend or wife, or I think it was just girlfriend, but they broke it off because he was more focused on his job than anything else in his life, and he knew it was a dangerous game, so he even says to the people at the very beginning of the movie, not married once but no children, and he said it's not a good idea to get other people involved in this line of work because it's very dangerous. You don't have time for that, essentially, is what he's trying to say. So I believe at the very end of the movie, he does make it back to work with all of his father's research. So that was kind of a very cool ending. And then it shows him doing one more psych evaluation, which was one of the things that I think you had to do daily when you were on a mission, just so that they knew your mental state wasn't completely breaking down. But once he was on the ship to Neptune, it didn't matter because he was on his own. So regardless of what he said, they can't shut him down at that point, right? Because they know that he has to come back with his father, and I guess they're basically relying on him to complete the mission. So at the very end of the movie, he's just happy to see people because I don't know how long of a trip it would have been from Neptune all the way back to Earth, but I'm going to say probably somewhere between 90 and 100 days if he was gone for 3 months. So, and I'm sure the food source would have been scarce on a tinier ship, so he would have really had to ration. You can kind of see that throughout the film as well, which was, I think, his spiral descent. So, once he gets back, though, he completely changes his opinion, and he says he's going to rely on other people for happiness and stuff. Sort of like a speech at the very end of the movie that he gives. It was pretty powerful. So I don't want to ruin too much more, give too much more away, even though I've pretty much explained the entire movie. Now, I am going to give this an 8 out of 10, and I would say the only reason to that is because it was just disappointing a little bit for him to go all that way. Like, the biggest plot point was for him to destroy Project Lima and bring his father back, and then it was just super disappointing that they didn't even write that in. Like, they just, the way they wrote that was, yeah, a little disappointing to me, that they just, his father just goes, yep, I'm done. Like, I know he even said to him that he never missed his mother. Like, he never missed Roy's mother, and he never missed him. He was more focused on space too, so I guess that's kind of where Roy gets it from. But he still loves his father regardless. I guess doesn't. Maybe that was where the self-realization came in, that he didn't want to be anything like him, and he knew that's what he was becoming. So, yeah, it just seemed like Roy definitely could have saved his father if he really wanted to, but I don't think his father wanted to be saved. He had dedicated his whole life to finding other life forms and wasn't able to find them, and still thought that he could, to prove people wrong. And I think when Roy tells him that we're all we've got, his brain just went, nope, I can't accept that, and I don't need to go, I don't have anywhere left to go now, because my work has been absolutely pointless for the last 29 to 30 years. So I think he was just done. He didn't want to go back and face the consequences of what he had done anyway, so why would he, when his research was absolutely pointless and they sent him out into space for basically nothing? Just, yeah. He ended up being more of a danger out there to the rest of the world than actually being able to find anything. So I would say maybe those were the two kind of downfalls to the movie, maybe. Was that the whole... Yeah. The main plot point was kind of disappointing at the end. Sad, maybe. Sad, maybe, too. Definitely sad. I mean, this was still a really good movie as a whole, and I was actually surprised at some of the actors who were secondary actors, because that was just crazy. But obviously there's some other actors in this movie that I'm not naming, but I would say those were the four main ones. And the rest of them were kind of just secondary to the film, because they weren't in it. Even Eve, played by Liv Tyler, was kind of just in it for a little bit of time, just to show you that he had some sort of background story, I suppose. Other than that, I think that's all I can say about this movie. So as always, like, share, subscribe, and comment down below your thoughts on this film if you've seen it. And if not, definitely go watch it, because everybody's opinion is different, and I have to start saying that at the end of more of these videos. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.